I wanted to share with everyone that I used to have water with me every time I ate because my food would get stuck here. And I didn't realize it was an autoimmune condition until just recently when I was like, hey, that I haven't had that problem. I haven't had to have water right next to me. And it kind of, so I'm happy I can eat my food now without like the stuck feeling. And then
before you move on to, and then that is a medical condition we call dysphagia. The medical word for the difficulty with swallowing is called dysphagia. Okay. So let me ask you, how many years have you struggled with dysphagia?
So I've only noticed probably like 10, but it's been increasingly getting worse. I've only noticed it with like heavy foods.
Okay. Maybe 10 plus years. And in the medical world, it doesn't get better.
Oh.
In the conventional medical world, dysphagia only stays the same and gets worse. Okay. So what week of the program are we in? We're at the end, correct?
Yeah.
So my question for you, what has happened in the last 2 months that's actually ending dysphagia, improving it to this point where you no longer need the water or help with that? What has happened? What's the cause?
I was thinking several. Digestion, huge.
Digestion.
And probably food mapping, like removing those foods that were causing my gut to be in a war.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And blood sugar. Those were the things I was thinking.
So let's talk through mechanism, everybody, a little bit so you understand dysphagia as a symptom. All right, everybody. So when we look at dysphagia, trouble with swallowing, there's multiple reasons why people with autoimmune disease are much more prone to it. Okay. Number one, your esophagus is made with connective tissue. Many and people with autoimmune disease, no matter what the autoimmune disease is, have many additional other targets of autoimmune attack. A very common area of autoimmune attack is connective tissue. So there's an autoimmune attack against connective tissue in most people with autoimmune disease, no matter what the diagnosis is. Okay. So that's one mechanism. Okay. If it's attacking the connective tissue, it's going to not work as well. Okay. So you will have trouble swallowing. Number two, dryness. If you don't make much saliva, can there be autoimmune attack against saliva production? You look at Sjogren's. You look at, right? Jennifer's waving her hand. Varci's waving her hand. Look at the diagnosis of Sjogren's. People with mixed connective tissue disorder, scleroderma, okay? Even autoimmune skin diseases like that affect the mucosa, like lichen sclerosis, lichen planus. All of these autoimmune diagnoses, yeah, everybody's getting an aha, right? All of these is an autoimmune attack against some of these mucosal cells that create mucus or saliva producing cells. So then what happens is if you don't lubricate your food, even if your mechanism for swallowing works, it's going to get stuck. Okay. So there's an autoimmune attack against cells that make mucus or saliva. So how important is it that you're doing this program to stop the root cause of what's causing the autoimmune attack against those mucus producing cells and against saliva producing cells? Key, no matter what your diagnosis is, the likelihood you have antibodies or additional attack against saliva making cells or mucus producing cells with any autoimmune disease is high. Number three, what if you have low stomach acid? If you have autoimmune low stomach acid, which 90% of people with autoimmune disease do by data, what's the likelihood you're going to experience recurrent heartburn? Heartburn is not caused by high stomach acid. It's actually caused by low stomach acid problems. Okay. So if you have recurrent heartburn, okay, all this discomfort, burning, or you lack stomach acid, you have infection in your stomach, all this infection going on here. What's the likelihood that this discomfort here, the burning, the discomfort, the infection, all this is going to cause a problem with your ability to function normally in swallowing? High, right? So this is where working on digestion really matters. Varci mentioned this. So if she's taking Digestit to help increase her stomach acid to digest her food, she's going to have a lot less burning. Okay, that causes dysphagia. If she's drinking water, remember the first week of this program, we're focusing on the 10-day water challenge. Would more water aid in soaking up the food with water and hydrating the food, making it easier and smaller particles to digest? Yes, it would. Which chewing food better, which you learn in the digestion module, help with breaking down the food in smaller pieces, have better digestion to help facilitate the passage of this food through the esophagus? Yes, it does. So do you guys see now every single module is building on solving every problem, but this is just highlighting one problem of dysphagia. And this, it doesn't even include, what about autoimmune attack against food that you have sensitivities to? Let's add food mapping data on top of it to stop the war zone in your stomach, your gut, your esophagus against this food. Now you're completely calming and cleaning up the environment and the root cause. Voila, dysphagia improves. It is absolutely improvable, no matter what the cause is in autoimmune disease or even not in autoimmune disease, to solve dysphagia problems when you know these root causes. So congratulations, Varci, on that first win and a teaching moment for everybody here. Digestion really matters. Water really matters. Chewing your food really matters. Calming down the root cause of autoimmune attack against those cells really matter. And ending food sensitivities really matter. So all these are root causes underlying